All right, welcome to another deep dive. You know the drill. You bring us some fascinating source material, and we try to dig out the good stuff. Today, we're taking a look at, well, a pretty impressive AI project. One of you sent this our way. The story of how this system called Compere and its AI team were actually brought to life using this framework called Agno. We're going to try to understand not just what this Compare thing does, but why this whole approach to building it is so intriguing, and maybe what it tells us about how AI might work together, collaborate in the future.
Yeah, definitely a lot to unpack here. We've got some really interesting stuff to work with. Like, you sent us the actual prompt that was given to Gemini 2.5 in AI Studio, the one that basically said, hey, design this compare system using Agno. Pretty cool to see that starting point.
And then, of course, the Python code itself, the sci1team.py script, that's the real deal. And to top it all off, you included a document, like a whole success story of how this thing went from code to actually working. It's not every day you get to peek behind the scenes like this to see how a complex AI concept goes from an idea in someone's head to lines of code to something that actually functions.
Okay, so let's dive in. The big idea here, at least from what we gathered, was to create a whole new way for humans and machines to interact. And they call it a multi-persona system. So what exactly is Compare and its team?
Yeah.
Why is this concept so captivating?
At the core of it all is this thing called the System Interface Agency. They call it SIA for short.
And Compare, also known as I1, is the director of the whole thing. But here's the catch. Compare isn't just some super smart AI that tries to do everything itself. The brilliance here, the real innovation, is that Compare's role is to manage a whole team of specialized AI agents. Each one has its own set of skills and expertise. What's really interesting here is that they didn't just create, a bunch of AI agents working independently. They deliberately designed this hierarchical system with Compare as the director. It's like having a conductor for an orchestra, right? And it presents a unique approach to managing the complexity of a multi-agent system and ensuring that the user experience is, cohesive. It's something we're just starting to explore in AI design. This idea that one AI can effectively lead others to accomplish a task.
So we've got Compare as the conductor. But what about the orchestra itself? Who are these AI personas, these specialists, that make up Compare's team, and what do they actually do?
It's a pretty impressive lineup, really carefully thought out. First, we've got Fozz, the inner self-talk. This persona is all about clear communication, empathy, and making sure that the information is not only accurate, but delivered in a way that really resonates with the user.
Like it understands the human on the other end.
Yeah, exactly. It's about connecting with the user. Then we have QllickFizz, the content developer. This one's all about analyzing what the user needs and crafting content that's specifically tailored to those needs. It's like having a personalized content creation machine on your team.
Wow.
Next up is Metta, the knowledge graph analyst. This is our data whiz. Its job is to navigate all those complex data sets and pull out the most relevant insights. Think of it as the research expert that can sift through mountains of information and find the golden nuggets.
So it's like the brainy one, the one that really knows its stuff.
Exactly. It's the one you go to when you need deep knowledge. Then we have Fizz, the system spokesperson. This is the voice of the system. Fizz makes sure that the user understands what's going on, provides concise information, and builds trust through clear and transparent communication. It's the face of the team, you could say.
So Fizz is like the smooth talker.
Yeah, you could say that. And last but not least, we have the Humor Evaluator.
A Humor Evaluator, that's a real thing.
Apparently so. It's also a feedback specialist, and it has this crucial role of making sure that any humor the system uses is actually appropriate for the situation. It's also tasked with analyzing the user's reactions, the feedback, to constantly improve the interactions. It's funny, right? An AI that needs to make sure its jokes are landing well.
Yeah, that is pretty wild. I never thought about that. Like, how does an AI even know it's funny?
That's a great question, and it really highlights one of the biggest challenges in AI right now: how to understand and use things like humor effectively. Humor is so subtle, so context-dependent, it makes you wonder about all those other intricate aspects of human communication that these systems need to master if they're really going to be effective collaborators.
Yeah, that's a whole other rabbit hole. Okay, so we have this incredible team of AI agents, each with their own specialty. But how do they actually work together? How does Compare orchestrate all this talent when a user starts interacting with the SIA?
Imagine you're the user, right? You make a request to the system. Maybe you need information, or you want it to perform a specific task. Compare steps in as a central coordinator. It analyzes your request and decides which of its team members are best suited to handle the different aspects of your request.
So Compare is like the manager delegating tasks.
Precisely. For instance, Compare might ask Fozz to look over its initial response, just to make sure it's clear and easy to understand before Fizz delivers it to you.
So Fozz is like the editor, polishing things up.
Yeah, making sure everything is clear and empathetic. And if your request involves some serious data analysis, Compare might call in Metta to dive into the knowledge graphs and extract the necessary insights.
And QllickFizz would be the one to generate any actual content. Right?
You got it. QllickFizz is the content creation expert. And the Humor Evaluator might even get involved, maybe to add a touch of humor to the response, or analyze how you react to the information provided. The whole process is designed to be this dynamic, back-and-forth exchange.
Like a conversation.
Exactly. With Compare potentially going back to different personas multiple times based on their feedback or any follow-up questions you might have, it's all about creating this seamless flow of information and collaboration between you and the AI team.
It sounds pretty intricate. So we have this vision of a multi-persona AI system.
Yeah.
But the next question, the one that's probably on everyone's mind is, how do you actually build this thing? And that's where the Agno Framework comes in, right?
Absolutely. The success story really emphasizes that they chose Agno specifically because it's really good at supporting this kind of agent collaboration and tool usage. Agno is like the foundation, the building blocks that made it possible to turn this conceptual SIA into an actual working system.
Okay, so how do Compare and the personas actually fit into Agno? How do they map onto the features that Agno provides?
Well, this is where it gets really elegant. Compare, as the director, was implemented as the main Agno agent.
An Agnos agent.
Yeah, it means Compare is like an independent entity within Agno with its own goals, instructions, and the ability to interact with other agents and tools, just like any other member of the SIA team.
Okay, so each persona is also an Agno.
You got it. Fozz, QllickFizz, Metta, Fizz, the Humor Evaluator, all of them are implemented as separate Agno agent instances within Agno. And this is brilliant because it allows each persona to be set up with unique descriptions and instructions, just like the roles in the SIA.
So it's like each persona has its own little profile within Agno, defining what it does and how it operates.
Yeah, exactly. They even have these descriptions that outline their personality and expertise. It's all very well organized and structured.
That's really cool. But how does Compare actually make use of its team? How does it give orders, delegate tasks, and make sure everything runs smoothly?
That's where the actual decorator comes into play. You'll see these functions in the Python script, like consult fuzz, delegate to QllickFizz, and so on.
Console fuzz, delegate to QllickFizz. What are those?
They're functions. And this @tool thing, it's a special marker in Agno that basically turns these regular Python functions into something that Compare can use as tools. These tool functions contain all the logic and instructions needed to interact with each persona. It's like giving Compare a set of buttons it can press to activate each team member.
So when Compare needs Fozz to review something for clarity, it hits the Consult Fuzz button and Fozz gets to work.
That's the idea. It's all very neat and organized. And what's really cool about this @tool thing is that it allows Compare to not just tell its team members what to do, but to actually delegate tasks in a structured and controlled way. It's like having a proper communication channel between Compare and each persona.
I see. So these tools are like specialized APIs for each persona, making sure that the communication is clear and efficient. And it allows Compare to manage multiple tasks at the same time, which is probably important in a dynamic back and forth conversation with the user.
Exactly. It's all about creating a responsive and efficient system. And if you look at Compare's tools attribute in the code, you'll see a whole list of all these functions it has access to. It's like its toolbox. And Compare, based on its own internal logic and the user's request, decides which tool to use and when.
So Compare has this arsenal of tools at its disposal, and it uses them strategically to direct its team and achieve the desired outcome. It's not just relying on vague commands. It's executing these precise functions that are linked to each specialized persona. It's really clever.
It's a very deliberate approach to designing complex collaborative behavior in AI, and it seems to work really well.
The success story also mentions how the system remembers past interactions.
Yeah.
It learns, right? How does Agno handle this whole memory thing?
Right. Agno has these built-in ways of keeping track of what's been said and done in a conversation. You know how annoying it is when you have to repeat yourself to a digital assistant over and over?
Oh, yeah?
Agno tries to avoid that by using agent memory and slight agent storage. These features let Compere remember past interactions, both with you and with its own team. So the conversation can flow naturally, just like you'd expect in a human conversation.
Makes sense.
Agent memory keeps track of the immediate conversation, while Sclite agent storage allows the system to remember things even after it's been shut down and restarted. This is really important for a multi-turn conversation, especially when there's a lot of back and forth collaboration happening.
It's like having a really good note-taker who can keep track of everything that's been said and done. So how do you actually interact with this Compare system? Is it all command line stuff?
Well, to make it easy to test and interact with the system, they built a command line interface using the typer library.
So you type in commands and Compare response.
Yeah, you can have a conversation with it right there in the terminal. The success story mentions that you, our listener, even had a brief exchange with Compere. You said hello, and then asked some questions about its role and what it planned to do.
Hello. That's it.
Yeah, it was a simple greeting, but it was enough to trigger Compere to start explaining itself.
Wow. So Compare was able to understand that simple greeting and then start talking about its purpose and how it was going to use its team to achieve its goals. That's pretty impressive.
It shows that the system was working as intended right from the start. It was able to understand a basic human interaction and respond in a meaningful way.
Okay, so we've got the vision, the framework, the code, and even some initial interaction. What evidence do we have that this whole project was actually a success?
Well, the success story highlights a few key things. First, the fact that the code, the sci1team.py script, actually worked without any major hiccups is a huge accomplishment in itself. It means they were able to translate the design into functional code.
Yeah, getting code to work is always a challenge.
Absolutely. And then there's that initial interaction you had, the hello and the follow-up questions. It shows that Compere was able to interpret your intent correctly and start using its personas to formulate a response. The success story specifically mentions that this initial behavior was exactly what they had in mind when they designed this system.
So they had a plan, and the system actually followed that plan.
Exactly. It behaved exactly as it was designed to behave, which is a big win in itself. And it seems that the choice of Agno played a big role in this success.
Yeah, the success story seems pretty clear about that. Agno was the right tool for the job.
Absolutely. They conclude that Agno was really powerful and effective for building this kind of complex multi-persona system. Its ability to define individual agents, create tools for them to communicate and delegate tasks, and handle memory and persistent storage were all crucial to making Compere and its team a reality.
Now, let's take a step back and look at the very beginning of this whole journey. It all started with a simple prompt that you gave to Gemini 2.5 in AI Studio. Can you walk us through that moment? What did you actually ask it to do?
This whole story, the entire implementation of Compere and its team, started with that prompt you gave to Gemini 2.5 in AI Studio. It was a simple but crucial instruction. Propose an implementation of Compere I1 and its team using Agno. That's all it took to set everything in motion.
It's amazing to think that a single sentence could spark the creation of such a sophisticated system.
It really highlights the power of well-crafted prompts and the role they can play in guiding the development of AI systems. You have a clear objective, you articulate it effectively to a capable AI model, and then you combine that with a robust framework like Agno. That's a recipe for success.
From propose an implementation to a working AI system, it's pretty incredible how directly that initial prompt led to the finished product.
It's a testament to the power of these large language models and their ability to understand and translate human intentions into actionable plans.
All right, so let's try to summarize everything. What are the key takeaways from this deep dive into the creation of Compere and its team?
The big takeaway is that you can actually build a sophisticated AI system, like a multi-persona system, if you have a clear vision and the right tools. And Agno seems to be a pretty good tool for the job.
Yeah, Agno was definitely the hero of the story, providing the structure and support needed to make this complex collaboration between Compere and its team actually work.
Exactly. By defining this central director agent, Compere, and then a whole team of specialized persona agents, and then using those at tool-decorated functions to make them collaborate, this project really showed us how to manage a network of AI agents to achieve a common goal. It's like a well-oiled machine where each part plays a specific role and contributes to the overall success.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? What's the big takeaway, the thing to ponder as you think about this project?
Well, think about the potential of this kind of directed multi-agent system. Imagine applying this model, this idea of a central AI orchestrator managing a team of specialized AI to other fields, to other challenges. Could you use this approach to accelerate scientific research?
That's interesting.
What about using it to create even more engaging and interactive content? Or to build more responsive and personalized customer support systems? The possibilities are really endless. The success of Compare and its team shows us that it's possible to design and build these kinds of collaborative AI systems, and that they can be incredibly effective. It opens up a whole new world of possibilities for how we interact with AI in the future, and maybe even how we solve complex problems that have stumped us for years.
So a final thought for our listeners. Maybe this deep dive will spark some ideas for you.
Yeah, think about the challenges you face in your own work or your own life. Could a similar multi-agent system help you solve those problems more effectively? Could it streamline your workflow, enhance your creativity, or just make your life easier? The success of Compare and its team shows us that the future of AI is not just about building bigger and smarter models. It's about finding creative ways to make those models work together, collaborate, and complement each other's strengths, just like a well-coordinated team of humans.
Yeah, that's a great point. It's not just about individual brilliance. It's about teamwork, even in the world of AI. If you're interested in exploring these ideas further, definitely check out the Agno Framework. It's a really powerful tool for building these kinds of collaborative AI systems. And who knows, maybe you'll be the one to create the next Compare.
Or the next Fozz, or QllickFizz, or Metta. The future is in your hands.
And that's a wrap for today's deep dive. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time for another fascinating exploration of the world of information.